Hello everybody, and thanks for joining me. I'm Mark Mazzatenta. I'm here to help strengthen your guitar skills, and today's topic is about chords and composition. And we're going to be taking a look at a Steely Dan song that I think has the weirdest chord progression out of all of their work. So I adore Steely Dan and the projects of Donald Fagen, like The Nightfly, Kamakiriad, Morph the Cat, and Sunken Condos. So if you listen to Steely Dan records and all of those records I just mentioned, it's like going to the University of melody, harmony, lyrics, and groove. Everything you would ever want to know about those topics is in that music. So make sure to check it out. Today's song is called Negative Girl, and it comes from the Two Against Nature Steely Dan record. So I'm going to show you the little skeleton outline here of the music, show you some things about harmony, and then I will, at the end of the video, just play along with some of the recording. This is not a typical kind of song that any other songwriting team, in this case, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, would ever come up with. I'm pretty confident in saying that, so it's really unique. Here we go. Here's the introduction. And I'll just kind of keep these up here for a little while so you can see what's going on. Most of the chords in this song actually are minor chords, which kind of fits the vibe of the song lyrics. It's a little dark and mysterious, so we've got minor chords. The only major chords that we have are a little bit disguised and they go by pretty quickly. I'll get to that. Here's the verse. You can see it's a little involved and not exactly the typical 1-4-5 or 1-6-2-5 chord progression. Not anything like that. And then here's the rest of the verse, the second ending, going into the chorus. So maybe you're not familiar with these chord symbols, but I'll help you out today. So let's just talk about minor chords and how you can make those fancier. Let's take A minor. So here's an A minor bar chord. Right, it's just got root third fifth. There's no other extra tones in there. But what Steely Dan often does is they'll add things like the ninth. So what I did was I added a B on the 7th fret to that A minor chord, and you get this beautiful, lush A minor 9 is what you would call that. You could have a A minor 7. 7th would be a G, so on the 8th fret, 2nd string, you could use your pinky to add that to the A minor chord. And that would be A minor 7. Here's something called A minor 11. Now 11 is the same as 4. So if you count up 4, A, B, C, D, all you're doing is adding a D. I'll add it here on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And I'll add that to my A minor. And you get this really cool A minor chord called A minor 11. So you're going to hear harmonies like that. They go beyond the typical triad. And the other thing you'll hear, remember there's two guitar players, Dean Parks and Paul Jackson Jr. on this recording, plus keyboards. So you add all that together and you get these really cool voicings that sometimes are possible on one guitar, but usually you have to leave off the bass note or something. For instance, you're going to be hearing an E flat minor chord, but their voicing is going to have these notes in them. So you get a half step in there. Or F minor 7. S has a ninth in there too. But with these half steps, it's a little difficult to do those on the guitar, but I will show you little voicings like that. All right, so there's how I've written this is you see the note that's on the staff above each chord symbol. That's the note that's kind of being emphasized in the voicings that the guitars and piano were playing. So those are kind of the prominent soprano pitches, I guess you could say, of the chord progression. So it starts with a little introduction. G minor 7, E flat minor, F minor, C sharp minor. And you'll hear how colorful they make that. And then when the singing comes in, of course, typical chord, I'm being sarcastic, is this. This is how they start the verse. Sure, anyone would just pick that chord for the first chord in a song, right? That is an E triad over a C, which is very dissonant. And then that's their second chord. I guess that's kind of like an E minor, but it's really disguised. And then they have these slash chords. That is a C triad with a B flat in the bass. You can see that that kicks in at the pre-chorus. See the slash chord notation? So when you have a slash chord, that means that you have a note that's not the root. You have the chord symbol, and then the letter after the slash is the bass note. So here we've got a C triad, but with a B flat in the bass. You can notate that with slash notation. Then you see minor 11th chords. Then you get to A flat major 7. And sometimes they have a 6th in there. And then you have this little cascading series of major 7th chords. Now something really interesting happens here. You're going to hear something like, which is somewhat common to take a chord and just drop it by half steps like that. But they have this little melody, and which is really cool. So if you look at this first ending, they're kind of aiming towards this F chord, but instead of putting a 5/7 of F, which would be C7, they use the tritone substitution, which is that G flat major 7. So listen to the difference. Instead of right, C7 to F major, they go G flat major 7, sharp 11, and then they string them together. So you'll hear that as a very prominent thing. But who would come up with that? It's very sophisticated, and so I hope you'll learn some cool techniques here. So let me play the chords. Here's the verse where the words come in. And of course, you have to put a melody on top of these chords. That's a D6 over E, and then we have this E triad over C again to F9. They do a really cool voicing of that. They have the 6th and the 7th of that chord. See, a little tricky on guitar, but that's an F 6th and 7th together. And then they have the B flat to C with a B flat in the bass, a C sus4 with an F. You'll see this, it's in the score that you've seen, which resolves to an A minor 11, B flat minor 9, G minor 11, C7 sharp 9 to A flat major, to this little G flat major 7, to F, E flat major 7 sharp 11, and that gets you back to the verse. Now, the second time they do it, the second ending extends that little major 7th descending pattern there. And you can see they had to adjust the time signature as well. It's a little quirky. It's got so you have G flat major 7, resolving to F major 7, then E major 7, resolving to E flat major 7, then you have a B triad. E flat major 7, which goes to like a D add 2, and they use this kind of fourths voicing, which is really hard to label that chord when you have just fourths like that, but it's a really cool sound. And then they have these minor 11 chords again. B minor to A flat minor with the 11th and the soprano, and then C6, G7, and they end the chorus on another slash chord, D with C in the bass. Isn't that pretty strange? It works great though in the song. So let's hear the actual track and I'll play along with some of it. This isn't the complete song, but it's most of it. How'd you like that? Crazy chord progression, but beautiful. And then they had to put a melody on top of that. So that is a huge compositional achievement. Incredible. So I hope you listen to more Steely Dan records. Let me know what you think about this song. I like everything they've recorded. So if you want to hear me talk about another one, let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining me. If you're new, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to this video. I'm kind of on the march to get 1,000 subscribers, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you. See you next time.